everyone, Dr. Todd here, back with another video. And what are we talking about today? We're talking about the difference between anger, resentment, and rage. So people oftentimes interchange these three things and they are not the same. So let's talk about what anger is. Anger is a normal human emotion. All of us at one point in time or the other, we feel angry. Anger comes up because of some injustice. You feel you're wronged in some way, and it's a normal emotion. As long as that emotion does not contravene the rights of others, doesn't cause you to lose control or cause you to lose perspective, anger is normal. Anger is a way of introspecting, figuring out what is wrong, and maybe it requires you to set boundaries. Maybe it requires you to do something different. That's anger. However, there's another thing, another entity in this whole thing called resentment. Resentment now tends to be something a tad bit different. While anger acts in the moment, dealing with something that happens in the moment, resentment looks back. And this is the kind of thing where you feel that, in particular with relationships, you feel somehow that you are wrong. You keep score. There's this ticker going on in your head that you did this, you did this. And this is often like in intimate relationships, you see that. And it seeds and it grows and it creates distance between the two people. Now, note the difference between anger and resentment. Anger is that thing that acts in the moment. Resentment is looking back, but it's also bringing stuff into the present. And with that level of anger, you hear things like always, you never, you're the kind of person who does. And physically, that person may feel some kind of revulsion, right? They pull back from their intimate partner or some close family member. They feel as though they have to protect themselves in some way because something that happened in the past is keeping them in this state of hostility. And it is quiet, it is seething underneath. So that's resentment. So you know the difference between these two things so far. You have anger on one side, just acts in the moment, it's normal. Resentment, which now is functioning as pulling things from the past. And now we talk about blind rage. Rage now is out of control, what we call dysregulated. You don't have perspective at all. And this is based on something that happened in the moment, but it could also be pulling from things in the past. But this is the thing where a person now is going to lash out. They may physically confront someone else. They are in a state of fire. They are out of control. They've lost it, some people would say. This is the kind of situation where people end up doing really bad things that could have legal consequences. And you're now in this place where the adrenaline is so high and you do things. This is the kind of thing where people forget what they've done in that moment of rage, because chemicals like adrenaline or cortisol, for example, can push a person to a place where they're in their brain, right? Things like adrenaline and cortisol affect memory. They affect the way how a person sees the world, how a person functions. And you don't want that. And so it is important to understand what these three things are. And for all of you, you may have been in one or all of these states, but they all mean something different. Anger is normal. Resentment is something that when you talk about couples relationships, for example, when there's resentment, there's usually some event or set of events that have been unresolved or unaddressed that they need to be brought up. The person who was offended, they need to be able to express to the person who offended them in a healthy way what the offense was, how they felt about the offense, and that person, the offender, needs to be able to bear witness to what the other person is experiencing and hear them and talk it out so that over time safety is rebuilt. And this is something that I talk about in my book Fight Plan, which is in the link below. In that book, we have interactive exercises. It's just not a read. They're actual exercises and interactive exercises that you can do to kind of help you navigate some of these issues with anger and conflict. But resentment is something that happens a lot in intimate relationships, and then rage is a whole different animal altogether. You do not want to be in this state. It is your responsibility to remain, no matter how upset you are, to remain regulated, unless you want to find yourself in a difficult situation. Because if you're dysregulated, you're going to do things or have the potential to do things that have consequences way beyond that moment. So those are the three. If you want to talk a bit more about anger, conflict, rage, resentment, there are links below this video where I work with couples as a therapist, work with individuals to address issues around anger and conflict. You can visit my website at masteringanger.com, masteringconflict.com, and couplesfightschool.com. Thanks a lot for watching this particular video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.